Welcome back to Through the Veil podcast. I'm Elle,
Camille.
and we have Cheryl with us today. Cheryl is an amazingly gifted sound healer. So we're going to wander into the realm of sound and what that is and what it does for our bodies today. I do want to apologize. I am a little bit raspy, and I will probably be sucking on my magic drink to help facilitate sound. Cheryl and I met in Sedona about a month and a half ago. And she had my first sound bath experience with you, Cheryl. And I have to say that probably it's ruined me for every other sound bath since. I mean, it was phenomenal and it was completely unexpected. It blew me away. We kind of met by accident, um, just maybe divine intervention. I was on a retreat with a bunch of other spirit communication friends, and we got given your number as a recommendation, and things just kind of lined up for you to come facilitate with us.
Yeah, it was amazing. Thank you both for having me here. I've been looking forward to this time together and having a conversation. Um, no accident, right, Al? It was,
Right.
I believe, totally divinely aligned. I don't think that I'll ever forget meeting you and your beautiful friends. And it was, I think, as just as special for me as all of you had conveyed. Living in Sedona often does that for me, and I never know, right? But Sedona is this magical place, and I love living here.
It's like a
And
vortex. It draws the people in, right?
oh, yeah, exactly. Yep. And I've been here for 4 years now. Originally from the East Coast, and during COVID, knew that it was time to go. And ever since I've come here, so much has aligned, so much has opened up for my own business, and spiritually for me. I've stepped into more of who I am and what I wish to do in this world and how to connect and serve and live my highest passion. Yeah.
That's amazing. Um, I love that you have this transformative journey, and it's an amazing story. I've heard it, and we're going to go into that kind of at the latter half of this episode because y'all don't want to miss it. But Cheryl, can you tell us a little bit about what you do and what is sound healing? Just the
Yeah.
basics 101 crash course.
Yep. Like I said, I have my own business here in Sedona, Grit and Grace Meditation. And it sort of started on the East Coast. And I think East Coasters are opening up to all of the modalities. But obviously, if you haven't been to Sedona, you should visit Sedona because Sedona is a spiritual healing mecca, right? People come here, maybe they don't even know what they're seeking, but they'll find something because Sedona is a very spiritual place. And in this time and in this space in our world today, so many people are coming here. We have millions of visitors every year in this small little town. And my husband lived here and he would travel back and forth. And he brought me here in 2020. And as I said, it was time to go. And when I came here, I continued to offer yoga, meditation, working with crystals, and then sound came in my life. I always knew about sound healing. So I can remember as we were talking earlier about my first sound healing. And I was lying in Shavasana and someone started to play the sound bowls. And it's just this amazing feeling that comes over your whole body. And I remember thinking to myself, what is this? And I must know it. And so that was probably about 10 or 12 years ago. And so it took me a while to fully embrace working with sound. And it came to me when I was here in Sedona. And part of the story is my mom, after I moved here, had gotten very sick. And I went back to New Jersey for the funeral and the services, and literally had a divine download as I was standing in my parents' home, and was begin working with sound and it will help you heal. And it was though someone was standing right next to me, and that's when I know it's truth, because I just get full body goosebumps just like I did when I just shared it, because every time I share it, it's like, yes, this is truth, right? And then within a month, I had connected with someone and started with my first set. And it's been this amazing journey since then. Um, so sound, right? When we think about sound healings, if you've never been to one, they're referred to as sound baths, sound journeys, soundscape, sound healing. I just refer to it as a healing. Know that I'm not healing you. You are your own healer. I am holding the space for you to move through whatever it is that you need to move through. And healing means bringing your body back to its natural state. So all of us, right? We've all had some form of something in our life, some trauma, something that didn't feel good. So it's just moving this vibration through your body. So typically, if you were to come to me and I was hold a sound healing for you, it could be a private session, it could be group sessions, whatever the experience is. Like you had 6 ladies in your session, and each of you go on your own journey in your own way. But know that as you're lying there, it's the disconnect if you can get out of the mind and you allow yourself to fully relax. It's tough to do in today's day and age, right? We live in the United States, we live in Western culture. How often is it that you're called into a space and say, hey, I've got you for the next 60 minutes and I want you to let go? This does not often let us do that. So I guide you in a meditation to get you into a relaxed state, connect you to your body, to your heart, connect you to your breath, similar to that meditative state as we start to relax and let go. And so many wonderful things happen in the body. And so it's not just woo. We're here in Sedona, and lots of people go, "Oh, this is all woo," and I'm like, "Nope. Let's talk about science." Because if you know a little bit about me, I spent over 16 years in higher education in a college, and that's strategies and processes and procedures and outcomes and measurements. So this girl's got a very logical mind. But I've got the spiritual mind too, right? And we can combine the two because as we learn, these practices are ancient, right? Our ancestors, our ancient cultures knew that there was something to these practices that are really more and more coming to the surface. So when we think about sound, sound has been around for thousands of years, thousands in many, many cultures. And that can be with using drums, rattles, shakers, gongs, chanting, mantras, using the voice. The voice can be one of the most healing instruments that we can use with another human. Think about when you have a baby and you're singing a lullaby, right? A baby doesn't care what your voice sounds like, they're just being soothed. And so when you're lying there, all of these things are being done in the sound healing session. Using crystal alchemy bowls is the main thing that I use, and also a variety of instruments. And so it's this hour-long journey that I'm taking you on, and this is happening while you're in a relaxed state, really in like a nest, as I refer to, an eye mask over your eyes, and then you're letting go. And what happens is the body begins to relax. And I think you can attest to this, Elle, in my sound healing. And then your brain waves start to change. And with this happening, the brain waves move from the beta state, which is awake, aware, and concentrating, into the alpha state, which is more relaxed state, and then into the theta state, that in between, that beautiful healing state. Maybe you're there and then maybe you're gone, and then you're back and you're gone, and before you know it, an hour's gone and you're like, where did I go? And sometimes it's like we talked about, Camille, you said like you float above your body and you're like, whoa, what's happening? But it's a beautiful, restful state, and your body is in the parasympathetic, the rest and digest. So that's kind of a short version of what's happening, but it's all energy and it's all vibration. Because remember, we as humans, that's what we are. Think of yourself as the conduit in which sound moves through you.
I think that's an amazing story about how you had that download right after your mom passed. I mean, it could have been your mom telling you, like,
Yeah.
as a byproduct of this grief and this loss, like, I'm going to give you a gift. And here
Yes.
is this download, right?
I truly believe that, Camille. I've had many experiences with my mom coming to me. One of them actually was even the evening that I was with Elle and her friends. It was quite amazing, and ended up literally having a little bit of a reading that night. Nothing that was ever expected, because, I was there as the holder of the space and giving them an experience. And that was what was such a gift that evening, having a reading and having my mom, who has passed over, and my husband, who has passed over, coming to me and wanting to share some gifts to me with me. It was just beautiful. The sound really is part of my share with the world, and I think it came through my mom. And there's so much to talk about just that alone, because my mom and my grandmother both spent time in church, both used to be in the choir. My grandmother played the organ. And, years ago, I used to be part of this. And then I've drifted a bit more into the spirituality. And, some of this may be considered woo. And now I realize that this is a gift that has come through me
Hmm.
from the other side.
That's
I really
beautiful. And
love that.
so when you're talking about how you have to kind of like let your body relax to get into that alpha state, right? And then to the theta state. I think it's kind of hard not to at least be in the moment in a sound bath because the sound is so intense that
Yeah.
it's easy to like stop thinking about, oh, what do I have to do after I leave this, or what's on my mind, because it sort of forces your attention to be in the present moment because it's so
Yeah.
captivating.
Yeah.
Literally, it
And
shakes you. Like literally, it's
Yeah.
shaking you. The vibration is in your body.
it's very demanding. Like you're like, it's like, listen to me, focus on me. And it's like, okay. And it's just so easy to gravitate towards it. Um, I
Absolutely.
did.
Sound gives you something, gives your mind something to pay attention to,
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
right? That's the
Which
anchor. Hmm.
I love that. And you mentioned earlier how the human voice is a very healing sound. Well, for thousands of years, like you were talking about, people have used the human voice even just to center themselves. You think about like different forms of mantra meditation, or even in certain forms of Catholicism, they have a particular kind of, what is it called? Centered meditation? I think that's it. It's like a certain kind of prayerful meditation where they're repeating prayer or scripture to themselves aloud. And
Hmm.
that sound or that voice is leading them and guiding them through. And that is the connection or the focal point that they have to divine. And I love how you mentioned like your grandma was in the choir, played the piano, and your mom and stuff. We have used sound in forms of worship for thousands of years
Yes.
in
Yes.
every culture across the world. And I think it's amazing that, like you said, this is something that's been recognized anciently across the globe as a tool to access that divine connection, a connection to someplace higher, to someplace up, to someplace beyond what we are in our very limited physical form. I think that's amazing.
Yeah. And Al, when you're in a sound healing with me, I also believe that it's important to set an intention. Not everyone does this in a sound healing, but this is something that combining the practice of yoga nidra. If you've never done that, it's a meditative practice, and you're setting an intention. And so, if we think about life, attention and intention is so important, right? Attention is a commodity, what we're placing our attention on. And intention is, what are we moving towards? What do we wish to create? What are we looking to manifest? What are we looking to bring into our life? And so when you're in this beautiful, restful state, we have the ability to unlock our subconscious. And so our subconscious is where the programming is, right? So what's my intention? I am flowing in life with peace and ease. I am filled with abundance. We can create these intentions and then start moving towards them. So it's my belief that it's a beautiful state in a sound healing to set an intention, go to the heart space. So many times we have our mind that gets in the way, and really we should be leading with the heart. The heart knows, and it's that intuitive hit that we get immediately. And we go, yes, I must do that. And then what gets in the way? The mind. Well, how are you going to do it? What's going to happen? Blah, blah, blah. Right? It's all the things. The heart knows. And so when we're in this state of relaxation and we're in this state of creating an intention, then we're going in and we have this ability to unlock this potential. And beyond that is infinite possibilities that exist.
Yeah. Speaking to the metaphysics of this, I just want to explore this notion that I just had. Everything is energy. Energy has a vibration,
Mm,
and that intention that we create sets a vibration in our
yes.
body, right? And oftentimes, like you said, we're so present, focused on the attention of the distraction around us that we forget to focus and linger on the intention of how we are going to push, we are going to manifest, we are going to bring what we want to create into reality. So those vibrational things get disconnected or confused, maybe. But when you have a time to set aside and sit within the vibration of that intention, I'm like meditation does this, mindfulness does this, which is why it can be such a powerful practice.
And
But when it's amplified by sitting in literal vibration at a very
mhm,
high level, right? This is the crystal that generally is played. Sometimes I think people use various forms of metal or other things also for sound healing.
mhm,
But this vibration operates at a very high frequency,
yes.
very, very high frequency, which is what the frequency of positive things like love or progress or abundance or those things also resonate at a very high frequency. And when you're allowing yourself to sit in that frequency, you're manifesting that frequency. You're reattuning your body, your mind, your focus to that higher level frequency. So it doesn't get confused, it doesn't get lost. You take that
Right.
readjustment with you when you leave.
Absolutely. As I said, think of yourself the conduit in which sound is moving through you. Because we are 72% water as humans, so the liquids and fluids within your body is picking up this vibration that's being emitted out into the space that the sound healing is being held in. Well, it's natural that your body's going to pick it up and it's going to move this vibration through you,
Through
getting
every part of you,
right
all
to
your cells,
every part of you. It's
all
moving
of you.
every cell, right, at a cellular level. And then it's moving stagnant energy that gets stuck in your body. In sound healings, it's not uncommon to feel lightness, heaviness, pulsing, tingling, see colors in the mind's eye, clips of things that you haven't thought of in a very long time. And there's that drifting in and out. And so all of these are happening because it's energy, because it's vibration. We forget that we're energy at our core. We're billions of cells vibrating. And these gorgeous instruments, which I have the crystal alchemy bowls. So they're a little bit higher, right? So there's the white bowls that are the quartz, beautiful. Mine are quartz infused with crystals and gemstones. And then there's also the Tibetan bowls or the Himalayan bowls, which are the metal ones. All of them equally beautiful, equally powerful in a sound healing. I just happened to choose the crystal ones. I was drawn to them, and I rarely let anybody else touch my bowls at this point after practicing for over 4 years. They're an extension of me. They tell me what to play, messages come through, um, how to hold the space. Maybe this is what's happening, intuitively on the other side with individuals. I originally would play sound bowls, and then there was an evolution of my practice. And about a year or so into it, I remember specifically sitting in a sound healing and a message that came in. And again, it's the same kind of thing for me. I hear it. And it was the bowls were saying, sing. And I was like, I don't sing. sing. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not singing. And for me, the resistance became so strong in my body. And I know when I need to release, it's because my body I see as this vessel, and it becomes so energetically powerful on the inside that if I don't do or release, it's like a quaking that happens inside. And I was like, sing, like I don't sing, what am I supposed to sing? And then that's what just comes through. It's just like oohs, ahs, e's, just guiding the person on the other side, the recipient, through something, using the voice. And I never realized how healing it can be, because that's the egoic part of me that's saying, you don't sing, you don't do that, blah, 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 you know? So releasing that, and literally people have said to me time and time again, that was what really pushed me over. That's what really took me to the other side. That's what helped me to release. And I was like, okay. And to get out of my own mind when
Mhm.
those things are shared,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, I think sometimes what intuitively it may be as, do facilitating, you're making the sound that somebody would need to make in order to let go. So if I'm laying on the ground on my yoga mat and I want to let go, but I've got this like ugh inside of me, where I just need
Mhm.
to,
Yeah,
you're matching the tone of what I need to just, that's what it would sound like if I were to just let go, or
yeah,
like just
yeah.
that letting go feel like sound. I've done sound baths with a facilitator who also incorporates sound. She was trained to do that. And
Vocalization.
when I first heard her, I was like, she kind of reminds me of like the sounds, the tribal sounds that the characters on Avatar would make,
Mm,
right?
yes,
But it
yes.
does really kind of help you get through whatever you need to get through personally, so that you can be more, just so you can let go, so that you can be more connected to your subconscious. Or I had an experience, my first sound bath was about 3 years ago. And it was just a day retreat for parents who'd lost young children, because my son passed away when he was 3. And it was a lot of like parents and moms who'd lost young children. So I didn't even know what a sound bath was, but I was like, sounds good. And had other things there too, like a cacao, tasting.
Trust. Yes, they're so
Really,
good when they're paired together. Yeah.
oh, yeah, it was wonderful. And there were some other things we did there, but I'm just laying on a yoga mat on the ground. I have zero attachment to results, zero expectations. I'm just like gonna enjoy myself and relax. And as I was laying there, um, it probably 5 or 10 minutes in, I saw like in my mind's eye this visual of me sitting in a chair in this really arid desert. There's nothing around me, it's just like dirt and like cracked dirt. And I'm sitting in this chair all by myself. And that was symbolic to me of the loneliness that you feel when you're grieving
Mm,
a child, because people can tell you all day how sorry they are and how they really feel for you. But unless you've
mhm.
lived that experience, you don't really understand and you feel isolated. So I'm seeing myself in this chair and I was like, this is how I've been feeling. Like it was a perfect visual representation. And then all of a sudden, I realized that there was this village that lived in the desert that was like cutting close. They had these lights and they were having this party and it felt really boisterous and fun and happy. And then this village started surrounding me. These people came out, were walking towards me, and I felt like they were like lifting me up. Like my spirit felt like it was being lifted. And my spirit felt like, I know all of these people. These are my friends. These are my support team. And what I got
Mm.
out of it afterwards was like, that represents my support team on the other side, my friends in
Oh,
heaven, my family in heaven, my people who want to show me you're not really alone. We're very aware of you. And we're just going to swoop you up for a little bit and we're going to feel joy together so that you know that you're not alone.
woo.
I have a theory about why this happens. I think that in any kind of energy modality, any kind of healing, whether it's Reiki to sound healing, like energy facilitates connection, right? So because the spirit world is energy. It's just a higher, more refined form of energy because they're on a purified level where we're on a very physical level. But sound, because you're literally filling the space with this high vibration, right? A very, very high frequency that facilitates connection for everyone within the space because it brings that vibration of the spirit world down into a touchable, connectable space.
Mm.
because all of that high frequency energy is already there. It's being broadcast. So somebody who is very sensitive to energy might pick that up really, really quickly. I know when I was with Cheryl, particularly this experience, there were six of us, and then Cheryl at the center. And the moment she started playing the bowls, the whole vibe, to put it literally, of the room changed. And I think when you start to tune like a tuning fork with that higher frequency that's being played, as it is conducted through all of the cellular level of your body, um, you kind of begin to release. So a lot of people will feel, I felt this, my spirit kind of like went above, like it was not
It's like,
withheld.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, in a physical vessel. Like in spirit communication, we always say that there's like there's a string, there's a cord that attaches you while you are living to your physical body. I felt that cord stretch. I felt it.
Like a
I
bungee
felt
cord.
it like
Woo, yeah,
right. I
going
was
up,
like a
up, up, up,
balloon,
up. Yeah.
balloon attached to a body. Maximum distance, out of body experience for sure. But I was able and I was aware of the same thing happening to all of the other friends, all the other women around me. And
Mm.
I was aware of this intense vortex of energy surrounding Cheryl. It was constantly moving and moving outward and being, reflected into the whole room. And I feel like that gives such a fertile ground for the spirit world to come and be among us in that moment because everyone is lifted to that high frequency. We're all reflecting it. So it's very natural. It's like we're walking that bridge because we're all being moved, we're all being transitioned, tuned to that higher frequency.
And I've had like, living here in Sedona, the majority of the people that I connect with are tourists that are coming here. And the other part are retreats that are coming here. Um, and, like I said earlier, people are sort of seeking. And a lot of times I still meet the individual who's never experienced this before. And it's such an honor to hold space for someone. And whether they believe something is going to happen or not, it does because it's vibration, right? We don't have to believe that the vibration of the bowls are going to move through the body. It just does. That's just the way it is. We don't have to believe that we're going to feel lightness or heaviness or we're going to drift in and out. It just happens. The typical person that may have a really big experience is one that can let go, right? So they do, sort of like what both of you have experienced. If you spend a lot of time in your mind, yeah, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. And I have had those conversations with individuals. The first thing that someone will do is sit up in a sound healing, and I watch, right? Because I'm watching your body. That's my job as the space holder. I want to take you deep. I want to stir energy up. I can create dissonance and I can create resonance. I can come over you with an instrument, or I can allow you to be settled. That's my job, right? So when I say dissonance, there's ways to play these crystal bowls that create different sounds that stirs energy up in you. And you're like, "Ooh, what is that?" Right? Because if you're going too deep, then you may go into delta. And then I hear you start snoring, right? So that's a little bit different. You're still receiving, but the body is so intelligent. The body knows exactly what you need. And when we think about people today, um, if you fall asleep, it's probably because you didn't get enough sleep. And insomnia is a big issue in today's day and age, right? So this is a great way to allow your body to relax and let go. I've had people sit up and apologize. And I'm like, what are you apologizing for? You don't need to apologize to me. And they're like, I'm so sorry. I know I was fidgety. I couldn't sit still. And then I usually ask for permission and say, would you like feedback on that? And they'll say, yeah. And I'll say, what is your normal state of your everyday life? Do you ever allow yourself to rest, to sit, to just be, right? Because we are human beings. And typically it's not that person answering, it's the person that's sitting next to them. That's their friend, their partner, their whatever that's with them, their go-to. They'll go, oh no, she never sits still, or oh no, he doesn't do that. And, and I say it'll take a little bit of time for you to allow yourself to relax because your mind is not used to this and your body is not used to this. And this is your nervous system literally talking to you. So that's that piece of information when you're sitting there and you're fidgeting and you're like, oh, is this over? And you're thinking about maybe the pink Jeep tour that you're going to do here in Sedona, instead of the moment that's happening right in front of you. That's not just happening in that moment. That's happening everywhere in your life, right? So this is a practice that brings you to that state of present moment awareness. I'm guilty of it. I think we all are. We're always thinking, right? What's next? What do I have to do? Did I get my to-do list done? All of the things. This is why I have my practices, because this is just as important for me to receive as to share. These are the things that bring me right back and go, everything is okay right here, right now, in this moment. And this is where I'm supposed to be because I'm taking care of me.
As you talk about taking care of me, that's self-care.
Mm,
Because I'm doing a group where I help people that are grieving. It's a grief support group where we also um, talk about how to connect to the ones that we love on the other side.
yeah.
And I say that we have to take time and do it's a form of self-care to connect, to first relax, put our phones away, sit with, do some box breathing, or some yin yoga, or just something to help calm down your nervous system,
Mm-hmm.
and go out, spend some time in nature and just sit and write down questions you would ask to the loved one that you miss. And just kind of see what thoughts and feelings come your way, like what perceptions you receive. But that's a form of self-care, is to intentionally say, I'm going to, calm down my body, and I'm going to see if I can spiritually connect to the ones I love on the other side, or at least just share things with them and open up my heart to them. Just be open.
Yeah.
That's a form of
Absolutely.
self-care.
And remember, like, it's a badge of honor in today's culture to always be doing something.
Yeah.
Have you ever walked past someone and you say, how are you? And I'm busy. Well, I know that's not what I asked. I asked how you are. That's busy is not how you are. And so I believe that in these practices is where we start to come home more to ourselves,
Yeah.
and start to really tap into, well, what do I need and what do I think? And it's not, being selfish to do these things. I often think, and myself included, can I honor the notion of rest is as important as the state of doing? Um, Peace and space, is that as important as the state of literally getting everything done? And what I've starting to come to discover, at least for myself, is it is, because it's in the silence. And I know you both know this. That's where the messages come from. That's where the intuitive guidance comes from. That's where the knowing comes from. And we start to give up the doubt of how we're moving through life, how we're showing up, the things that we need to be, because literally it's that higher self talking to you.
Right.
If you think about it, it's a long way from New Jersey, working in higher education, living in Sedona, sharing these practices on a daily basis. It's a big difference. And I've lost a lot of people in my life because they don't get what I'm doing. And I give them permission to be who they are, and they need to give me permission to be who I am, because I know without a doubt this is exactly where I'm supposed to be in my life.
Right. I think that's a really good point to take it into your journey with this. But I want to state first, I want to highlight for a second, talking about that self-care and that restful behavior. In a westernized society, I think oftentimes we confuse self-care with like free time.
Yeah.
Um, we're filling it with Netflix and ice cream. Like that's what we're
Or
doing when we
It's a
want.
Instagram
numbing
reels.
mechanism. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah,
numbing
scrolling on our
mechanism.
phones and
Absolutely.
time on Facebook or TikTok, like Instagram videos. It's not the same thing.
Hmm.
finding that introspective silence, the mindfulness, the actual rest for your soul, is completely different than just like chilling on the couch with your potato chips and your Netflix show, right? It's not the same. And maybe that is also necessary to unwind your brain, but we do
Hmm.
need to give ourselves the time and space to be still, to be
Hmm.
quiet. And we're really uncomfortable with science or silence in the Western world. Not with science. We're way too comfortable with science.
Yeah.
We're really uncomfortable with silence, and
Yeah.
allowing ourselves silence even makes us nervous.
Yeah.
What's in there? What happens
Oh,
when I'm
right.
quiet?
What's in there? What am I going to be told? Using that as a segue to my story, and in essence, these practices that I have in my life, they didn't just come to me like, oh, I'm going to go do this. I know, each of you have a story in your life about why these things come to you and why you do what you do. And we all find our own path in life. For me, it was, great loss. And about 12 years ago, living life, doing what I thought I should be doing, the job and the kids. And, I had been through a nasty divorce and rebuilding my life. And then I met a man and we had a relationship. And Frank was super important to me in my life. And about a year and a half of dating, and then of course falling in love, talking about marriage, and he was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. And yeah, talk about being angry and being upset about, because we project, right? We're gonna live happily ever after. All of these things are happening. And that's the human, right? That's what we do. And that's what I'm talking about when living in the present moment, because we're not guaranteed that. And so, what's happening now, what's good in your life now, yeah, celebrate that and be that. Um, and so, yeah, really going on this journey with him and being a care provider, being right by his side and being with him for about another year and a few months until the cancer took over. And I was right by his side when he took his last breath. And I'm not going to be sugarcoat this. It was not pretty. And I got really mad. And, the stages of grief, right? We go through that. I was really angry and I turned my back on God for a while because I was like, I don't understand how you put us together. This is what I was, seeking, and then pulled us apart after 2.5 years. But I know now, 12 years later, and that, I guess that vision, like it's that blurry vision that you're living in, and it starts to get clearer and clearer and clearer. I would not be here today with the two of you on this podcast in this seat if I hadn't gone on that journey. And I think it was a few years ago that literally that was just became a knowing. And I was like, oh, I see now. I had to go through all of that in order to hold the space to be here for people today, to say, I see you, I hear you, and I am you. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not above anybody, right? I'm on this journey walking right beside you, figuring out this thing called life, trying to show up to be the best person and to help others at the same time. I could have stayed angry and it could, it is part of my story, but it doesn't define me. And there's a lot in my life that, I felt like for a while, a few years, that I was in the fire. But as I teach from this space now and coach from this space to women, when you're in it and it feels dark and it's icky and sticky, and you're like, what the hell is going on? You're coming out the other side and you're leveling up, right? You're leveling up. And
Mhm.
that is how I felt for a good few years. Because, not only losing Frank in that situation, the house that we shared together, about 3 months later was taken from me in a hurricane. living on the East Coast, Hurricane Sandy. So I'm in the grieving process, having lost my husband in June, and literally the end of October, Hurricane Sandy came along, and it was like, okay. And I remember sitting on my back step, and it was a conversation with God. It was like, okay, I'm done. I'm done. I see that you're using me for an instrument, and I surrender. So when we talk and we say the word surrender, I won't forget that moment, because it was literally like, everything is down. I am done. I'm still here. Show me now what I'm supposed to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then he did.
And then he did. He did. If you had said to me, even 5 years ago, you'll be living in Sedona and you'll be holding space for people in sound healings, you'll be holding women's retreats for people, for women to come together, to be seen and heard, to be vulnerable without judgment, which is so important, so important. I would be like, well, I don't know how. I want to do that, but I don't know how. And so if there's like any piece of advice I can say to people listening today, is like, get out of your own way and let go of the how, and just follow the breadcrumbs and,
Mm,
you
I
know,
love that. Follow the breadcrumbs, because that's all they are, just little bits at a time. We're not given the
Yeah.
whole picture.
oh
But
Which is
no.
really frustrating for those planner types like me.
I
Oh, me
know, we're like,
too.
okay, I want the next 5 steps, please.
I'm
And you want
like,
to take
right,
the
Yeah,
next
yeah, yeah.
step and a
plan
half.
ahead.
Just a little
Gotta set this
breadcrumb.
up.
Type A recovering perfectionist here.
Me too, me too.
Yeah,
I
that's why
I
we're
think I've
we're doing
swung
this.
too far the other side now. I need to become a little bit more
Yes.
There's
I
some
know.
element of personal accountability here.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I resonate with that so much, Cheryl. It was at that point in my own life with my own gifts where I finally just got to the point where I was like, obviously there's something here that I'm missing. I'm gonna let it all go. I'm gonna drop it. I'm gonna turn it to you. And if you want me to do this, if this is the path that I'm supposed to be on, then make it work out. Show me what to do. Like direct me. And it was only when I fully let go in that sense and stopped giving into fear and giving into resistance and giving
Yes.
into, my own even personal notions of what I thought this was. It was only then that I actually began my journey. And it has led me to the most amazing places.
Yes.
There's a
Yeah.
huge element of that in there of like release. Let
Yep.
it happen.
Let it happen.
Yeah.
You're going to go where, spirit, God, what your purpose is here. Why are you here in this physical body doing what, right? You just have to trust the process. And yeah, there will be those definite bumps and mountains and hills and holes and all of it. But yeah, it's been a really amazing experience. I'm remarried now, and my husband, who I'm married to, is the one that brought me to Sedona. And, there was great resistance when we first met, because I was like, you live in Sedona, I live in New Jersey. Again, how is that possible? Give up the how. And, there was never a time that I even thought when I first met him that I would be moving to Sedona. But he had greater insight, and he, believes in a lot of the practices that I do, which is amazing, and super supportive in that way, which is so complimentary. And, now we get to live in this amazing place in Sedona for as long as we're supposed to be here. Yeah. Right before we hopped on, I was like, oh, we definitely need to hear a little taste of a sound bowl. So I grabbed my practitioner bowl. So this is a
Oh my God,
practitioner
it
bowl,
is.
right? So this is rose quartz infused with the quartz. So this is has elements of the rose quartz crystal, which is the quartz crystal, the crystal that resonates with your heart, right? The rose quartz is love, compassion, gratitude, peace, joy. And it's called a practitioner because it has a handle on it. And here is where each of these bowls are assigned a note because they are musical instruments. So that's what's always amazing because people are like, how do they do that? And so my bowls are harmonically tuned. So I treat them as musical instruments. And I've done so many classes around this to be able to hold the space that I do and create the most beautiful experience for people. So, and then we use the wand. And so let's close our eyes for a moment and take a few deep breaths in and out. And if you're listening, I encourage you to do the same. Deep breath in, exhale it out, being present in your body in this moment. Allow the sounds of the bowl to just wash over and through you, noticing how it feels on your body. Imagine this sound as it starts at the top of your head and moves completely through you. Take some deep breaths in and out and open your eyes when you're ready.
I feel very relaxed right now. This is a good space to be in.
Just a matter of minutes, right?
Yeah, I could feel that energy. So
Mm.
for reference, when I'm connecting with spirit, I have a rush of energy that comes up like into my headspace through my crown chakra is where we'll place it. And you playing that one, rose quartz being the stone of connection, it's really funny. It
Mm.
automatically pushed my energy up into that connective space. And I can feel it's like my tell. I can feel it's like, oh,
Oh,
we're
yeah,
already up there.
yeah,
We're already vibing high.
yeah,
It's awesome.
yeah. And that's the beautiful thing when you're laying in the sound healing. What does it feel like to have this vibration to move through you, right? It's a feeling that we have. We don't need to be here. We need to be here.
Mhm. Cheryl, do
Yeah.
you have any do you do any virtual sound healing sessions ever? Is that an offering that you have?
Yeah, I don't do it as frequently, but I absolutely can. Obviously, you heard the sound comes through pretty
Hmm.
easily.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, I just invite the people to get their own props and everything to make them comfortable in their nice little nest.
Hmm.
When you were talking about your group that you work with, those who have lost someone in a grief group, would love to connect with you. This is an amazing way to create that space and yeah, connect to those on the other side. I know
Hmm.
it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic
It's
idea.
amazing.
How can people get a
Mhm.
hold of you, Cheryl? Do you have social media or do you
Yes.
have a
Yes.
place that we can connect them with you?
Yep, I would love to connect with anyone and everyone if they travel to Sedona, obviously, but also virtually because not everybody has that opportunity. You can find me on Instagram, Grit, Grit, and Grace, Grace, meditation. Came from, we need to have that resilience and we need to move through life. And then the grace, we need to surrender to that
I love
and
that.
know, right? So, Grit and Grace Meditation, you'll find me on Instagram and also Facebook. And then my website, same thing, gritandgracemeditation.com. love to connect. And also, as I said, I host women's retreats, and the theme is self love, sort of what we were talking a little bit about. Different than self care. Self love is the ultimate love, right? How we show up for ourselves and how we connect with ourselves, creating that space, and then how we move through life. And that creates that space of how we connect with others. So self love women's retreats, and that is selfloveretreats.net. Host retreats here in Sedona and Costa Rica, Baja, Mexico. More, stay tuned. You can find the different places that I am hosting with my business partner, women's retreats. So love to connect, and be sure to reach out and just say hi.
Sounds good. Oh, yeah, I'm definitely gonna look up all those places and
Yes.
Baja. That would be fun.
Excellent.
Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. It's been such a pleasure. And I knew it would be the minute that I met Al, and I love meeting you too, Camille. It was
Thank you.
awesome. Yeah.
As always, you can get in contact with Camille and I on our website, which is,
Throughtheveiledpodcast.com.
I always let her say that because I forget it every single time.
Pregnancy
You can
brain.
find you can find our social media, you can find our Facebook group, you can join our community. If you would like to get a hold of us and schedule a session, you can also do that there. So we love any participation from the community, from our podcasting crowd. And we will go ahead and see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks.
everybody.
Thanks. See ya.